Welcome to the online classes Water Chemistry Part 3. So in the previous class we have discussed about the determination of COD. Also we understood the procedure to calculate the amount of COD present in an industrial wastewater or the domestic sewage. So today let us discuss two numerical problems based on the COD. So 20 ml of sewage sample for COD is reacted with 25 ml of K2Cr2O7 solution, and the unreacted K2Cr2O7 requires 9.0 ml of N by 4 FAS solution. Under similar condition, in blank titration, 15 ml of FAS is used up. Calculate the COD of a wastewater sample. This is the numerical given to us. So after reading this, we need to list the data supplied in the problem. So the problem says the volume of the wastewater sample as 20 ml, and then it is mixed with 25 ml of K2Cr2O7, that is excess. So a known quantity of K2Cr2O7 is added to the known volume of the water sample, the first sentence. And the unreacted K2Cr2O7 means left out after refluxing. So the left out K2Cr2O7, when it is titrated with a standard FAS whose strength is N by 4, the concentration of the FAS is N by 4, it requires 9 ml of the FAS solution. That means the volume of K2Cr2O7, unreacted K2Cr2O7, consumed 9 ml of the standard FAS solution. Under similar condition, a blank titration, meaning no wastewater sample, the 20 ml sewage is a sample, no wastewater sample, rest everything is taken as such. That time, the titer value is noticed to be 15 ml. This is the data given. So one by one, let us list it. So the volume of the wastewater sample taken is 20 ml. From the problem, we understood that this is the volume of the wastewater sample taken, so we have listed here. And volume of FAS consumed by the unreacted K2Cr2O7. Unreacted K2Cr2O7 means a back titration 9 ml. And volume of FAS consumed in a blank is 15 ml. And apart from that, we need one more thing to solve the problem, that is the strength of the FAS. So the normality of FAS, N of FAS means normality FAS is given in the problem as N by 4. So let me write down N by 4 is the strength, where N is 1, that means normality, normal, so many normals means it is 1. 1 divided by 4, it is equal to 0.25. This is the normality of FAS solution taken for analysis, that is filled in the burette. This is the strength. We need to use this in a formula. And later one more calculation we need to do, that is a blank minus sample. Blank minus sample will tell us volume of K2Cr2O7 actually required by the waste, the pollutants present in the wastewater sample. It is expressed in FAS. So this is the data given. Now coming to the formula. So N1 V1 of the conical flask solution is equal to N2 V2 of the burette solution. This is conical flask. Always left hand side is conical flask, right hand side is the burette. So normality of the burette solution is nothing but FAS. So we know that as 0.25. Substitute. And V2 is the volume of FAS consumed by the K2Cr2O7. That is actual volume of K2Cr2O7 consumed by the pollutants to get oxidized is blank minus sample. So blank minus sample, it is the volume of FAS actually taken up by the pollutants to undergo oxidation. So that is our V2, nothing but 6 ml. Now we need to rearrange this equation to get the value for the N1. What is N1? N1 is the normality of the wastewater sample. So that means amount of pollutants present in the wastewater sample, that is the strength. And it is simplified. Once the answer is obtained, so we have to express this as a COD. We should recollect the definition of the COD. The definition of the COD is number of milligrams of oxygen required to oxidize the oxidizable impurities present in the wastewater. It is a number of milligrams of oxygen. So that is why, so to convert this to the amount, the normality is multiplied by the gram equivalent weight of the oxygen. The gram equivalent weight of the oxygen is 8. So it will give certain answer. But this COD is the number of milligrams of oxygen required by the pollutants to undergo oxidation. Hence, it is compulsory to convert the gram to the milligram. This answer to be multiplied by 1000, it will give you the answer for the COD. So, 600 mg per dm cube means it indicates high level of pollutants present in the wastewater. Higher the value, higher is the pollution strength in the wastewater sample. Lesser the COD value, less is the pollutants present in the wastewater sample. So as much as possible for a sewage, industrial effluent or domestic sewage, this value should be a 2-digit number. So if it is like this, it is compulsory to supply the air to that, or it is compulsory to dilute the sewage by using the fresh water. By doing so, we can supply additional oxygen to bring about the oxidation of the oxidizable impurities, and we can avoid the problems which might occur in the later stages. So this is the first numerical, and this is taken from the previous question paper, and in the notes we have given few more that also you can solve it. Moving on to the second question, calculate the COD of the effluent sample when 25 ml of an effluent requires 8.3 ml of 0.001 molar K2Cr2O7 for oxidation. Here they have given a hint, the molecular mass of K2Cr2O7 as 294. So in the previous one, we have seen individually the volume of FAS consumed by the back titration. Volume of FAS consumed by the black titration was given. Also the normality of FAS was given, and therefore it was easy to do. That was a direct substitution. But in our existing problem, you can see only the volume of effluent sample is given and no normality of FAS. Instead, they have given a molarity of K2Cr2O7. There is a difference between molar and normal solution. Molarity of K2Cr2O7 is given. No individual titer values for blank and back. Instead, so total volume of K2Cr2O7 consumed by the pollutants is given. That is 8.3 means it is directly B minus A. No B, no A individually. It is directly B minus A is supplied in this problem. So when it is given like this, the first step is we need to convert the molar solution into the normal solution. That is the reason the hint is given here, the molecular mass of K2Cr2O7. So before solving this, one thing we should remember. So N1 V1 of FAS, N1 V1 of FAS is equal to N2 V2 of K2Cr2O7. So N1 V1 of FAS is equal to N2 V2 of K2Cr2O7. Here on the right hand side, we should take the normality and volume of the K2Cr2O7. Let me write it down. It is N2 multiplied by V2 of K2Cr2O7. That means the volume of K2Cr2O7 consumed by the wastewater to oxidize the organic and inorganic pollutants will be expressed in terms of the normality of FAS. That is the meaning of this. Now, how to convert this molar solution into the normal solution means there is a simple formula we should understand. It's not only for this problem, for any problem. Normality is equal to given molarity of the solution multiplied by molecular weight of the solution, molecular weight of the salt divided by equivalent weight of that particular salt. So equivalent weight of the particular salt. Here we have the K2Cr2O7 means, so we should take the equivalent weight and molecular weight of K2Cr2O7. So they have, in the problem they have provided us the molarity of the K2Cr2O7. Hence, let us convert that into the normality. Later that will be taken as a N of FAS according to the previous formula. So therefore, the molarity is given as 0.001 multiplied by, you have a molecular weight. What is that? 294 is the molecular weight. As a hint given in a problem itself. And you should know the equivalent weight of K2Cr2O7, that is 49. When you simplify this one, 294 divided by 49 is nothing but a 6. So, how do you convert the molar solution into the normal solution means simply it is the molarity multiplied by 6. That's all. So, to convert the normality into molarity, remember, so the molarity should be multiplied by 6. From where this 6 came means, it is the molecular mass of K2Cr2O7 multiplied by equivalent weight of K2Cr2O7 gives us the 6 value. So that's what we have done here. 0.001 molar K2Cr2O7 will be equal to 0.006 normal K2Cr2O7 and it will be equivalent to normality of FAS because N1 V1 is equal to N2 V2. Based on this formula, in place of N of FAS, we need to take a 0.006 multiplied by blank minus back, directly they have given. So volume of K2Cr2O7 taken up by the pollutants to undergo oxidation, directly it is given in a problem, that is 8.3, and whole thing multiplied by the 25 will give the strength of the pollutants in the water sample, again multiplied by the gram equivalent weight of oxygen 8. So once again multiplied by the 1000 to convert the gram to the milligram. So the answer is 15.93, which implies that, so the amount of pollutants present in the wastewater sample is very less. So lesser the number implies less is the pollutant strength in the water sample. Higher the number or bigger the number implies that the concentration of the pollutants in the wastewater is high. So that's about the numerical problems. You can try 3 more. It is given in the notes. Moving on to the subtopic, determination of sulfate by gravimetric method. See, there are different types of chemical analysis, that is wet chemical analysis, like gravimetry, titrimetry. Again, under titration, we have a different type like acid-base titration, redox titration, precipitation titration, and complexometric titration, like that. So another method, another classical method or a traditional method is a gravimetric method. What is gravimetric method means? Sometimes the analyte, the test substance, will be converted to the precipitate. So analyte will be converted to the precipitate and the weight of the precipitate is taken, and using the formula it is possible to quantify that particular substance present in a solution. So analyte means a test substance. Analyte meaning the test substance, one it is a one which is under investigation, will be converted to the precipitate. and then we will take the weight of this precipitate. By knowing the weight of the precipitate, it is possible to determine the concentration of the analyte present in a test solution. So that is called as a gravimetric method. And here for our discussion we have a gravimetric estimation of the sulfate, determination of sulfate by the gravimetry. One thing you should remember, the sulfate ion concentration is high in a water means it is not good for both drinking as well as for the industrial application. See, the permissible limit of sulfate ion in any form like sodium sulfate, calcium sulfate, etc., it should be less than 250 ppm either for industrial application or for the drinking purpose, that is potable water. In any form it should be less than 250 ppm. Otherwise it is considered as a toxic. Sulfate is considered as a toxic in drinking water, and it is harmful for the boiler operation because it will be converted to the calcium sulfate and magnesium sulfate, and in the previous slides we have studied that it will give a problem like a scale, sludge, etc. That is the reason it is one of the method to determine the strength of the sulfate. So once you come to know the concentration, it is easy to find the remedy to overcome the problem. So one such method is a gravimetric method. The principle of the experiment goes like this. So this is the sulfate ions present in a wastewater sample. It is treated with a 10% barium chloride solution in the acidic medium at the boiling temperature. I'll repeat again. So these are the sulfate ions present in a water sample or any other sample. When it is treated with the barium chloride in the acidic medium at its boiling temperature, all the sulfate ions gets precipitated as barium sulfate, and by taking the weight of the barium sulfate, it is possible to quantify the sulfate ions present in a water sample. So here what we do, how to obtain the precipitate means, so let us see the procedure. So the procedure goes like this. In a beaker we need to take a known quantity of water sample, say 100 ml. So I am explaining the procedure. 100 ml of water sample will be taken and it is kept for heating on a hot plate. So it is kept on a heating on a hot plate. Once it reaches its boiling point, boiling temperature, once it reaches its boiling, once if you feel that it is started boiling, at that point you can add 3 to 4 drops of HCl, concentrated HCl. So I'll repeat again. A known quantity of water sample is taken, preferably 100 ml say. So 100 ml of water sample will be taken in a beaker, and to this 3 to 4 drops of HCl is added and it is kept on a hot plate for boiling. Once it started boiling, along the sides of the beaker, 10% barium chloride is added dropwise. 10% barium chloride. It is a precipitating agent. 10% barium chloride is added continuously and the solution is stirred using a glass rod. Mix well so that all the sulfate ions becomes a precipitate, settle to the bottom. So this will be settling to the bottom. All the sulfate ions will be settling to the bottom as a precipitate. So leave it in this stage for 20 minutes. For that process we call it as a digestion of the precipitate. That means almost all the substances, all the sulfate ions becomes a barium sulfate according to this equation. After 10 minutes, once again we can check the supernatant solution for the precipitate. So now this is called as a supernatant solution and this is the barium sulfate precipitate. So we have to ensure that no more sulfate ions are present here. For that, again 1 drop of barium chloride is added. Once the barium chloride is added, if it is once again forming a precipitate, it implies that it has still more sulfate ions. Like this, you have to keep on checking it till the supernatant does not give any precipitate at all. So the supernatant should not give any precipitate at all. Everything is precipitated as a barium sulfate. No more sulfate ions are available in this supernatant solution. So everything is settled. So after ensuring the complete precipitation of the sulfate ions, now leave it in the same condition for another 10 minutes. Later move on to the filtration technique. So how to do the filtration means we need to take a conical flask. This is a conical flask. Then place a funnel over it. Place a funnel over it and a filter paper. This is the funnel. Place a funnel over it and a Wattmann filter paper. It is wetted. Now from the beaker containing the precipitate is transferred slowly. We have to transfer the precipitate from the beaker. So the precipitate is present in the beaker, that should be gradually transferred without wasting. This is the precipitate, the barium sulfate present. Gradually we have to transfer. So after complete transfer, we have to give a hot water washings to the beaker so that all the precipitate is transferred onto the filter paper. So once it is done like this, we need to give sufficient hot water washings to this precipitate. If not, what happens? It will also have certain chloride ions because the reagent is a barium chloride. So now, how to check the precipitate is free from the barium chloride means the filtrate which is coming out from this one should be collected in a test tube. Take a small test tube and collect the filtrate from this, and then to that AgNO3 should be added. 1 or 2 drops of AgNO3 is added if the water sample, not water sample, if the filtrate is having a residual chloride ion, immediately it will give a white precipitate. So it says that still more washing should be given to the precipitate. The process is continued for some more time till the filtrate does not give a silver chloride precipitate when tested with the AgNO3. At that stage, dry the precipitate completely. Now, along with the filter paper, we have to dry it in a hot air oven. So this is a filter paper containing the precipitate, and it should be this should be dried in a hot air oven. Dry it completely. So before transferring the precipitate, it was necessary to take the pre-weight of the filter paper. So before transferring this precipitate, the pre-weight of the filter paper, empty weight of the filter paper should be taken, and after drying along with the precipitate, we need to take the weight. So the difference between the two weight, W2 is along with the precipitate and W1 is the empty weight, will give us the weight of the barium sulfate formed from the water sample. So this is how the experiment is carried out. Now moving on to the observations and calculations. So come to the observations and calculation. This we can see here. So the molecular mass of barium sulfate is 233 grams, whereas the molecular mass of sulfate ion alone is 96 grams. So 233 grams of barium sulfate contains 96.96 grams of sulfate, whereas the weight of the precipitate barium sulfate formed in our experiment is W gram. W gram of barium sulfate contains 96.4 divided by 233. And this much is present in 100 ml of water. So when you simplify, it will give the percentage of the sulfate present in the water sample. If you want to express this in a ppm, it should be multiplied by whatever resulting answer, it should be multiplied by the 1000, so that the answer will be ppm or milligram per liter. So this is the estimation of sulfate in a water sample by gravimetric method. So we understood why we have to do this experiment means sulfate ions limit is only 250 ppm, either in a drinking water or in a industrially used water, that means boiler operation. So in the boiler, if the concentration of this is high, it will lead to the scale and sludge formation, and for the human consumption it becomes toxic. So let me stop this topic, and next class we will continue with the fluoride estimation.